One question that arises as we learn about classes, and I know for me personally, I was just super excited to use classes all the time. One question that arises is why or when should we use this? When should we use classes? When should we use our object-oriented programming? And so I wanted to provide a few helpful tips. It's going to be different for every program. You may want to use classes more than the next person or less than the next person. But some things that have helped me are as follows. It's ultimately important to remember that classes provide a means of, quote, bundling data and functionality together. That's straight from the Python docs. So when we need to bundle data and functionality together, we could think, oh, that might be a good use case for a class. You don't always need to use classes. If we're just writing functional programming or programming to accomplish a task, like a specific script, maybe something that's not too large, maybe 50 lines or 100 lines or even a few hundred lines, often we may not need classes. Sometimes a small script may need classes, but often if it's small, it may not. So if you have a very small script and you're using a class, you just might want to think about, do I really need to be using it here? Not that it's a bad thing. It's just trying to help delineate when we should be using OOP and when we don't necessarily need to. Some good use cases for classes are when we need to keep track of state of an object over its lifetime. I recently created some classes for a program I'm working on at work that actually needs to track state of an object over time, over the life cycle of the program. So I used a class because that was the way to do it. Encapsulation, grouping related data and methods into a single unit. Abstraction, if we want to use a class and hide complexity from some other program or some other code, we can create a class and then that other code can interact with our class and our class methods instead of that other code having to see all the complexity of our code. Code organization and reusability. Classes make reuse and being able to extend things more simple. So that could be a use case. And then often if our program's just getting really large, it may be that much code could use a class. So these are just some hints, or it could use multiple classes. But these are just some hints that I hope help you to think about when and when not to use classes. Again, it's not going to be the same for every program or every programmer, but wanted to help you out. This was something I struggled with. You don't always need to use classes just because you know how to. So there you have it. Thought that would be a useful video for you to see.